Tonight, mass arrests, a bus damaged, several taken to hospital. See the chaotic aftermath of a violent brawl that spilled onto a suburban street. In the city and on the coast, how South Australians celebrated the new year at fireworks shows across the state. But some were kept on edge. Fire fears in the hills from a blaze thought sparked by illegal fireworks. From global conflicts to local house prices, 2-decade-old cabinet secrets released, and they're still having an impact today. And the Aussies check out the SCG in their baggy pinks ahead of the crucial fifth test.
This is Adelaide's 9 News with Will McDonald.
Good evening. 19 people have been charged over a wild brawl on a bus that left a trail of destruction in Theberton. The driver forced to pull over and flee as the violence escalated, with innocent passengers caught up in the crossfire.
Under arrest and under the watchful eyes of dozens of police, a group of suspects restrained after reports around 20 people were brawling, with large rocks being used as weapons.
I thought they're gonna throw stones or they got a knife or stuff. Yeah, so there were 20, so I was scared. Yeah.
One by one, 16 suspects were searched and then loaded into paddy wagons on George Road in Theberton.
All right, turn around and slide in backwards.
While 3 others were taken to the Royal Adelaide Hospital under police guard.
And they'll be charged with aggravated affray and damage offences as the investigation continues.
Gowinder Singh was driving the passenger bus when he picked up the 2 groups in the city, but within minutes they started to brawl, and at around 8:30 a.m. the first call for help came.
The situation getting worse and more people can get stabbed or whatever, they're fighting. Seriously.
With the fight escalating, the driver was forced to pull over here on the side of the road. Fearing for his safety, he fled, leaving the bus behind. And did you have any passengers on the bus who weren't involved in the fight?
There was a 2-3 passenger, but they left. They left with me.
Witnesses say some in the group gathered rocks from the roadside, while others ripped the seats from the bus and used them as weapons.
Look, I'm shocked. Yeah, I'm shocked.
19 people, aged from just 13 through to 58, were arrested. After a short time behind bars, they were given police bail and barred from using public transport for 3 months.
It's very hard. It's a very risky job.
Keziah Sullivan, 9 News.
South Australians have said goodbye to 2024, some by partying early into the morning, others simply with family and friends. Fireworks wowing crowds across the state, and today police were widely praising the behaviour of those celebrating.
As the sun set on 2024, South Australians across the state sent the year off in style.
We're bringing good vibes, good friends and positivity into 2025.
Party hotspot Hindley Street was at its raging best. Clubs and bars full, a heavy police presence obvious in the lead up to midnight. Just across the city at Elder Park, it was a quieter affair, but no less busy.
We've had around 80,000 people throughout the night, 25,000 here right now.
A festival of food and friends on the Torrens, highlighted by the 9:30 fireworks show.
It's a beautiful night, perfect night for it, and the best show in town. What can you ask for?
The Strikers game taking place just across the river. Those inside the stadium treated to their own personal show, complete with a performance from artist Peking Duck.
It looked like the goddamn Super Bowl halftime show when they had a concert up in there.
The coast was a mix of those keen to party and families. Semaphore buzzing with parents and children, soaking up the atmosphere.
I might go on some of the rides and I'm just happy everyone's happy.
Authorities were prepared for 50,000 people at Glenelg. People flooding the area from Moseley Square all the way to the jetty. Some choosing to feast and relax with the ones they love.
It's more of the fireworks and also spending time with the family.
Very busy here at work, so it's actually good to just sit back and relax.
Others entertained by a DJ, the live performance keeping those on the shore dancing right up until midnight. And as pyrotechnics flew off across the city, it gave many a chance to reflect on the year that was and what they're looking forward to in 2025.
Yeah, achieved a lot of things and I'm going into 2025 with a new mindset and a fresh start.
We do not want negative energy any place, anywhere. Just lock in, be for yourself, 2020 thrive.
Keep going, kick goals, just keep going. Life's fantastic.
We're going to get rich. We're going to get rich and we're going to party.
South Australian Police today praising the behaviour of most overnight, identifying only a few minor incidents and drink drivers.
Overall, the New Year's Eve operations across the state were successful and most people enjoyed a quite safe and enjoyable evening.
Gus McDonald.
Happy New Year!
9 News.
Illegal fireworks are believed to have sparked a series of blazes across Adelaide during New Year's Eve celebrations. A frightening bushfire taking off in the hills before emergency crews rushed in.
A hectare of bushland burning in the hills as firefighters battle to keep it contained.
I think we should go.
The blaze erupting next to a Highbury quarry on Lower North East Road just before 10 last night.
We just drove up the hill and you could see all the smoke and burning on the right-hand side.
Investigations revealing the fire was likely sparked by illegal fireworks set off during New Year's Eve celebrations.
I heard a firecracker go off, and next minute I saw the police coming up the hill and the fire engines and everything getting there, and I can see the fire taking off.
That's the danger of fireworks, is that when you don't know how to use them and how to look after them properly, then the risk is always about fires and injuries.
Illegal displays also igniting a fire in a garden bed at Lightsview, with similar incidents also reported in Walkley Heights, Elizabeth Downs and Smithfield Plains.
I was very worried last night because I thought if it got out of control, I'm up here, I'm on my own. I had no car.
The danger of illegal explosives also felt down the Limestone coast after a man was rushed to hospital in Robe.
A male was injured and received non-life-threatening injuries when he set off a firework which exploded in his face, causing facial injuries.
Private use of fireworks is banned across South Australia, and those who are caught using them could face a maximum fine of up to $5,000. Anyone with information on the Highbury fire is asked to call Crime Stoppers as investigations continue.
But it's not only dangerous for me, it's dangerous for the CFS people as well. They've got families and they have to come out and fight it.
Samantha Hogan, 9 News.
As the new year arrived, so did South Australia's first babies. And this year there was an added milestone. Our newest South Australians now also part of the newest generation, Gen Beta.
Rosy cheeks and tiny fingers, little Tallulah Rose Webster came into the world at just over 3 kilos.
Yeah, really overwhelmed and excited and tired, of course, but yeah, so happy to have her here.
It was pretty emotional, but yeah, definitely a beautiful thing to come from it.
First time mum and dad Bianca and Brayden overjoyed to see their new bub. The moment made even more special by her birth happening on New Year's Day at 7:33 this morning at the Women's and Children's Hospital.
A very long labour, but yeah, just so grateful to have her here.
After 13 exhausting hours of labour and 12 days earlier than expected, Tallulah was ready to meet her parents. Her dad even more excited about one particular feature.
That she came out being a redhead, which is amazing. So yeah, that definitely made me happy. Yeah, for sure.
Yes, we had bets on that.
Before Bianca went to sleep on Monday, she expressed how amazing it would be to have a New Year's baby. Later that night, she went into labour. The new year also marks the beginning of a new generation. From now until 2039, babies born will be part of Generation Beta. And what kind of life they'll lead is tough for us to fathom, but it'll likely be intertwined with technology, and they may never know a world without artificial intelligence. For now, though, this young family can't wait to take their little girl home.
Grateful to be parents.
Yes, and grateful to have one another.
Courtney Burke, 9 News.
Such a cute little bub. Well, multiple crews, including aircraft, are currently fighting an out-of-control fire in the state southeast. Residents in Joanna, 15 kilometres south of Narracourt, are urged to enact their bushfire emergency plan. Smoke is blanketing roads and the Narracourt Caves National Park. At least 20 hectares have already been impacted. The residents of 23 homes at Clemzig are without water after a pipe burst. A resident with a shovel joined efforts to stop the flow from the water main, working alongside SES and CFS volunteers. SA Water says it will be early evening before services are finally restored. There was no significant damage to homes and the cause is still being determined. Cabinet documents locked away for 20 years until now have revealed the Howard federal government was warned to prepare for for the possibility an Australian could be taken hostage as the war was fought in Iraq. Tonight, the former Prime Minister reflects on the decade since the 2004 election, and he has a message for anti-development NIMBYs.
A Danish princess, a beauty queen,
The winner, Australia!
and a king of the pool.
This win was the making of an immortal.
Among the crowning moments of 2004, John Howard claiming a third term with a thumping majority in both houses.
I am truly humbled.
In an election shaped by a shape.
How are you, Mark?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well.
Good.
I wasn't surprised it came because he tried that stunt before, but it wasn't caught on camera.
Mr Howard on a walk down memory lane as the decisions of his cabinet 20 years ago were unpacked with a trove of previously secret documents tonight released by the National Archives, including for the first time papers from the powerful National Security Committee.
Matters like Iraq, defence procurement, relations with the region, terrorism, etc.
All key, with Australian troops still on the ground in Iraq, the Prime Minister visiting for Anzac Day. But as insurgency rose, a warning letter from then Foreign Minister Alexander Downer detailing contingency plans should an Australian fall victim to a hostage-taking incident. An invasion on the basis the regime had weapons of mass destruction. By January 2004, a concession from the US, none had been found.
It was done in good faith. It was based on all the available intelligence. We found the plans, we found the programs to build them, but not the stockpiles.
Our close relationship with America included sealing a free trade deal.
Thanks a lot.
But there was also a foreign policy focus closer to home.
An earthquake and tidal wave devastate wide parts of Southeast Asia.
And by the end of the year, in the aftermath of the Boxing Day tsunami, Australia led international aid.
I thought the nation's gift of $1 billion, the biggest ever, was an expression of genuine concern because they lost so much. 400,000 to 500,000 people. Aceh was devastated.
On the home front, housing affordability was front of mind for the government. It supported a Productivity Commission recommendation for a supply boost. NIMBYism, something Mr Howard still sees as the biggest roadblock to ownership.
One of the problems we have in this country is that we are too judgmental about development, and I think we make the mistake of seeing them as ogres.
Cabinet accepted telling states to reduce reliance on the rivers of gold from stamp duty, but it didn't consider the impact of federal changes to capital gains tax 5 years earlier. There are political parallels to be drawn with 2004 as Australians head into an election year, a campaign to again be fought against a backdrop of global conflict, while domestically the issues of immigration, housing and energy remain front of mind for voters.
As always, people will make a mature judgment as to who's better able to manage the future. I believe it should be the coalition, but he would say that, wouldn't he?
The more things change, the more they stay the same. Liz Daniels, 9 News.
From today, employers involved in wage theft can face jail terms or be fined more than $7 million. The new law's coming into effect after a lengthy campaign by unions to make it a criminal offence to deliberately underpay staff.
It's always been the case that if a worker steals from the till, that they get sent to jail or they face criminal penalties. And from today, if an employer steals from their worker, they face the same penalties.
Business groups have opposed many of Labor's workplace relations changes, arguing forcing employers to pay their staff more would lead to fewer jobs being created. The gripping cricket series between Australia and India will be decided at the SCG in the 5th Test starting on Friday. But tonight, there's a truce between the two sides. Sam Jordan is at Kirribilli House in Sydney. Sam, the two teams are meeting the Prime Minister.
It's an annual event that all visiting cricket teams and, of course, the Australians themselves look forward to on the calendar. But given how much of a cricket fan Prime Minister Anthony Albanese is, he may well be the happiest person in the room. He and his partner Jodie welcomed both Australia and India a short time ago, and after what has been a hostile series out in the middle, it was all smiles between the two sides. This is a tradition ahead of the Sydney Test, and the weather has turned on a cracking afternoon for it this time around. And after they enjoy the afternoon together, they'll be flicking back into sports mode very quickly, because after a short turnaround from that incredible Boxing Day Test match, Australia now leads the series 2-1, and with the final test starting on Friday here in Sydney, they have a chance to finally reclaim the Border Gavaskar Trophy after 10 long years. But given how much fight India has shown right throughout the series, only one thing is certain: this series is going right down to the wire, Will.
Yeah, absolutely, Sam Jordan, it will. All right, and Corey Norris is right here. There's some promising news on the fitness of Mitch Starc.
Yeah, well, he's been battling a bit of a rib injury, but teammate Alex Carey has declared him a certain starter. We'll have more on the Aussies' preparation for Friday's match later in sport. Will Mitch Marsh get another chance to prove his worth? Carey has a fair say on that too. The Strikers scorched on New Year's Eve, and there were some fireworks on the pitch too. And Nick and Novak entertain again, but this time didn't get the result in Brisbane.
Still very popular though, thanks Corey. Well, still to come tonight, the backflip from a supermarket giant. Woolworths bosses changed their minds over selling Australia Day merchandise, but there is a catch. Also, Australia's ban on foreign-made engineered stone begins. And in America's incoming president and his right-hand man, they welcome in the new year. A New Zealand police officer has died and another is critically injured after they were hit by a car this morning. Senior Sergeant Lynn Fleming died in hospital after the vehicle drove straight toward the two officers at speed in Nelson on the South Island. The driver then rammed a patrol car with a third officer suffering concussion. The 32-year-old man was tasered and arrested. From today, stone products engineered overseas are officially banned across the country. The move aims to protect workers from exposure to deadly silica dust. The material found in benchtops and panels is linked to serious illnesses including silicosis, kidney and lung disease and cancer. $32 million is being used to help border officials enforce the ban. The federal opposition is claiming victory in a war with Woolworths over Australia Day celebrations. The supermarket giant pulled merchandise from the shelves last year, but tonight a backdown of sorts. The event will now be marked in stores across the country.
Supermarkets are still offloading Christmas leftovers, but already attention's turning to the next public holiday on our calendar.
Aussie, 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 oi, 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 how good is this?
Australia Day thongs, hats and T-shirts weren't sold last year at Woolworths. The excuse at the time, a gradual decline in demand and a broader discussion about 26 January, a decision that prompted outrage.
People should boycott Woolworths. I would advise very strongly to take your business elsewhere.
Tonight, a partial backdown from the supermarket giant. We listened and recognised that many customers and teams wanted us to do more to help them celebrate the day. Customers can expect to see perfect for Australia Day sections in our supermarkets and Big W.
The boycott worked.
They've learnt the hard way. They've learnt that they don't set the moral compass of this country, Australians do. And Australians don't like being told what to do by big corporates.
But Woolworths has been quick to clarify that this is not a return to selling Australia Day merchandise. Instead, it says it will mark the day by focusing on local produce, offering, for example, green and gold glazed donuts. Online at Big W, a range of Southern Cross emblazoned party supplies is available.
It's entirely a matter for retailers to sell what they think people want to buy. People choose to celebrate however they want to celebrate. That looks different for everybody, and that's important.
A new year, the same debate. Liz Daniels, 9 News.
Jimmy Carter's grandson has paid tribute to the former president, saying he was the family's rock and a remarkable man. Speaking to CNN, Jason Carter reflected on his relationship with his grandfather.
My memories of him are like memories of other people's grandfathers, you know, going fishing, going to the Braves games. It's remarkable how regular they were, really.
Jason Carter added New Year's is a special time for the family, who were always hosted by Jimmy and his wife Rosalind. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has left a Jerusalem hospital against doctors' order to pass a divisive budget law in the country's parliament. His presence proved critical, the law passing by one vote. Netanyahu underwent prostate surgery on Sunday. Well, Donald Trump and Elon Musk had plenty to celebrate at the Mar-a-Lago in New Year's Eve party. The pair filmed Dancing Away 2024. Dressed in a dinner suit with his son on his shoulders, billionaire Musk used some of Trump's signature moves as the president-elect took a phone call. Also at that lavish event, former Prime Minister Scott Morrison and his wife Jenny. Well, Sydney is one of the first cities in the world to kick off the new year and certainly one of the biggest celebrations in the world. The harbour igniting in a stunning fireworks show, the biggest ever seen as millions of people partied across the city.
A new dawn on a new year. Early risers, some with sore heads, taking a dip after what was an extraordinary party. The all-important countdown to the reset button. Sydney once again turning it on. 9 tonnes of fireworks launched, and for the first time ever on both sides of the bridge, a kaleidoscope of colours shimmering across the harbour.
They were actually extraordinary.
There's all the different colours, all the different layers, the beautiful gold sparkle. Just seemed to go on forever.
For the best seats in the house, well, good things come to those who wait.
We arrived here at 4 a.m. So we are waiting more than 12 hours and we are impressed. We love it.
So much anticipation. We've been here since 7 a.m.
I'm starting to dissociate a little bit, but it's good. We're getting there.
Have you seen the fireworks here before? Oh, you're in for a show.
Yeah. We can't wait.
Many coming from around the world. Where have you come from?
Mexico.
I wanted to come and see the fireworks. I'm from Ireland.
This is our first time in Australia, so we wanted to come to, the best place in Sydney to watch New Year's Eve fireworks.
Across the city, there was a party at every turn. After hours of anticipation, it's safe to say Sydney's world-renowned light show lived up to expectations.
It was worth it. It was so good.
Amazing.
Beautiful thing I never seen in my life.
I didn't realise they were that way as well.
Wherever you were, a moment in time magical.
More than 1 million people are watching across the harbour and more than 400 million across the globe. Sydney's New Year's Eve fireworks display once again the envy of the world.
Yeah. On a scale to 10?
Oh, yeah.
11? It's possible?
I thought they were amazing.
This flight above the harbour perfectly timed, as was this train ride.
I think it's amazing. I planned my trip to come here for the Sydney fireworks.
A once again unforgettable and cracking start to 2025. At the Opera House, Hayley Francis, 9 News.
In the news ahead, investigators from the US arrive in South Korea in the wake of the passenger jet tragedy. How they're helping figure out what went wrong. Also, the Pope kicks off a year-long jubilee that will see millions of pilgrims head to the Vatican. And we take a look at how the rest of the world farewelled 2024 and welcomed in the brand new year. Most of the world has now entered 2025, cities welcoming in the new year with fireworks, prayers and stunning light displays. But in some parts of the UK, celebrations were cancelled as severe weather swept through.
As the clock struck 12, the party began. Big Ben, the London Eye, and the biggest fireworks show in Europe, lighting up London's night sky. More than 100,000 people watching along the River Thames.
We've been working on this since July.
But it almost didn't go ahead.
I've been checking my phone every 10 minutes, look at the weather forecast, look at the wind.
Severe weather halting celebrations in some parts of the UK. Several towns and cities cancelling their fireworks amid strong winds. Edinburgh calling off the outdoor events for one of the world's biggest New Year's Eve parties, Hogmanay. 50,000 people were set to party on the streets there, but not this year. For those people who weren't interested in battling crowds or the wind to watch the fireworks here in London, many people opted to ring in the new year in the city's historic pubs, like the Churchill Arms behind me, which is packed.
We're just sort of doing a bit of a pub crawl, actually, yeah.
How do you reckon London's New Year's compares to back home?
This sucks. Yeah.
The weather's pretty wild out here.
Oh, it's lovely. I'm actually a Kiwi, so this is beautiful.
Paris capped off a momentous 2024. The French capital with plenty to celebrate after hosting the Olympics and reopening Notre Dame Cathedral last year. In Italy, thousands of people gathered around the Colosseum, while for the first time, Athens used silent fireworks. Berlin saying goodbye to a year that ended with a Christmas market tragedy in Germany. Conflicts muted celebrations in places like the Middle East and Ukraine. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky ending the year with this message. We, together with the United States, are capable of compelling Russia into a just peace. Russian President Vladimir Putin saying, we are confident that everything will be fine. We will only move forward. Thousands of people in Georgia halting protests for a night to come together to hope for a better 2025.
I think it's a long and hard battle. We're going to be happy, and next Christmas, I think we're gonna be victorious.
Syrians know that feeling, welcoming the new year with the promise of a brighter future after the fall of the Assad regime. Countries in the South Pacific were the first to celebrate, followed by Australia, then Asia. Japan, one of the first, with the words Happy New Year projected onto a Tokyo building, while Hong Kong's iconic Victoria Harbour was doused in a colourful display. It was a fireworks shower from Taipei's 101 Tower, and in nearby China there were plenty of colourful celebrations. Before Bangkok said goodbye to 2024 in spectacular style. Thousands of people partied in Mumbai, the world's tallest skyscraper lighting up Dubai. And on a packed-out Copacabana beach in Brazil, a dazzling display. One of the last but not least, the ball drop in Times Square in New York City. This is how the world welcomed 2025. In London, Hannah Sinclair, 9 News.
US investigators have arrived in South Korea at the scene of Sunday's deadly plane crash. 3 members of the US National Transportation Safety Board are leading the team to help local authorities piece together what went wrong. One line of inquiry is the positioning of the concrete barrier at the end of the runway. The plane hit that barrier, then burst into flames. 179 people died in the crash. The FBI has uncovered more than 150 homemade bombs on a farm in the American state of Virginia, the biggest seizure of explosives in history. 36-year-old man has been arrested, court documents alleging he used pictures of Joe Biden as target practice. It's been a year of immense human suffering and historic change in the Middle East. With multiple war fronts still raging on, we look back at the events of 2024 that have altered the region forever.
There had already been so much suffering, but there was more devastation to come. The death toll in the Israel-Hamas war rising sharply as the months passed. By April, Israeli troops entered Rafah, Gaza's southernmost city, where more than 1 million Palestinians had sought refuge. International demands for an immediate halt ignored. A major victory over Hamas coming not in Gaza, but in Tehran, 1,600 kilometres away. Israel assassinating the group's political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, sparking protests across the region. Bombardments intensifying in Gaza in the lead up to the 1-year anniversary of October 7th. No area within the Strip safe. Dozens of hostages still missing, the day marked with services across Israel. Another huge blow to Hamas came when its leader inside the enclave, Yahya Sinwar, was killed by the IDF, his final moments captured by a drone camera. He and others were being investigated for war crimes and crimes against humanity. So too Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, something US President Biden labelled outrageous. This as the focus of the war shifted north to Hezbollah, who'd long been firing rockets from Lebanon into Israel. The militant group becoming the target of a covert Israeli operation. Explosives hidden inside pages and walkie-talkies belonging to senior Hezbollah figures detonated. Within days, their longtime leader, Hassan Nasrallah, was killed in an airstrike. His supporters wanted revenge. Israel wanted the group wiped out. And IDF troops crossed the border into southern Lebanon for the first time in nearly 20 years. Hezbollah's backer, Iran, then launching hundreds of ballistic missiles at Israel in a rare direct attack. The IDF claiming it uncovered tunnels and terrorist infrastructure beneath homes in Lebanon. Its bombs levelled buildings in Beirut. More than 3,000 people killed, around 1 million civilians displaced before a ceasefire was brokered at the end of November. The weakening of Hezbollah and a distracted Russia, the catalyst for another conflict. In Syria, rebel forces rising up and toppling the Assad regime. Dictator Bashar al-Assad fled to Moscow. His residences were ransacked. Celebrations marking the end of a 5-decade-long dynasty.
The evolving conflicts and the many groups involved has Western leaders wondering where all of this will go in the new year. One thing everyone can agree on, though, is the events of the last 12 to 15 months have changed the Middle East and in some ways the world forever.
With Syria's future unclear, Israel has been striking military sites and now occupies a buffer zone along their shared border, while also targeting the Houthis in Yemen. 2024 drawing to a close with the region unrecognisable to what it was a year ago, and with major transitions of power underway within and beyond, there'll be more change to come. In London, Edward Godfrey, 9 News.
The Pope has had a poignant end to 2024, visiting the nativity scene at St Peter's Square. The pontiff looked at the display from his wheelchair as the Christmas tree glittered in the background. Pope Francis will hold a mass at the Basilica tomorrow as he embarks on his holy year. Coming up in 9 News, Pink Test Power, the major changes coming for the McGrath Foundation and how fundraising from the iconic match will be spent. The details next. And tangled around a lighting tower, the deflating start to 2025 for a hot air balloon operator. It was a shaky start to the year for a hot air balloon operator, his craft getting tangled with a lighting tower 30 metres above a Melbourne sports ground. Rescue specialists were called in to remove the balloon after council workers cut power to the pole. No one was injured and the balloon's basket was not attached at the time. A new dawn today for cancer care across Australia. The McGrath Foundation announcing an expansion of their support services ahead of Friday's Pink Test.
In a warm-up to Friday's Pink Test against India, our cricketers in their baggy brights.
Hopefully the Indian fans as well can dress up in pink and bring that spice to it.
A nod to the nurses who've been helping breast cancer patients for 2 decades. Today, the McGrath Foundation announced its own historic innings.
Today is a massive day of change for the McGrath Foundation.
To be able to now provide support for all cancers is something I think is absolutely incredible.
Its mission to expand the service beyond breast cancer in the works for over a year. The government made a contribution, but 60% of its funding comes from the community.
So the federal government has given us a contribution of 100 nurses, which is fantastic, but the gap is enormous.
The transformation builds on the vision of the late Jane McGrath.
The word that I've come up with when I think about Jane and how would she be feeling is flabbergasted.
I've been a nurse for a very long time, and one of the things that we were always incredibly aware of was the inequity in the amount of support that people got with other cancers.
The need is reflected in the statistics. 1 in 7 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer, but a staggering 1 in 2 Australians, that's half of the stand behind me, will battle some form of cancer during their lifetime.
To know that they're going now all cancers is just brilliant to be able to tap into that.
The foundation is hoping to sell 350,000 virtual seats.
Jump online, get your virtual pink seat, share that on socials.
At the SCG, Gabriella Rogers, 9 News.
Time for sport now with Corey Norris. And Corey, will the Aussies make any changes for that 5th test?
Yeah, at this stage we're looking very unlikely, which would be good news for Mitch Marsh, who's been backed by his teammates to bat his way out of a form slump. As for Mitch Starc, well, he's set to play through the pain of that rib injury. Also up next, tennis's new dream team bows out in Brisbane, and LeBron James's age-defying new feat. Hello again. An injured Mitch Starc is expected to play through the pain as Australia looks to seal the series against India. He's likely to be joined by the under-fire Mitch Marsh, with keeper Alex Carey not expecting any changes for the Sydney Test.
Stepping onto the SCG, the scene of the series' final battle, Australia will have its strike weapon to unleash against India.
You know, played with Starkey for a long time now, one of the toughest cricketers I've played with, so he'll grimace, he'll grab his rib, no doubt, throughout times, but he'll be ready for the contest.
Starc's inclusion comes as a major boost to an attack already without Josh Hazlewood.
He's got an opportunity now to help this team win a test match. He'll be up for the contest, and I think his bowling's just got better throughout the series.
Carey ending any uncertainty around Mitchell Marsh's place as well, saying he'll play and, under pressure, he'll perform.
I think whenever we've put someone in the spotlight, the true Aussie way is to show them how good they are. So I think it's Mitch's time.
It was an optional session for Australia this afternoon. All of the top 7 batted, except for Sam Constas. His first home test, he'll be in the spotlight.
Just the energy he brought, it was something different. I probably wasn't expecting that amount of difference.
The youngster unfazed by his confrontation with Virat Kohli.
I think I saw a photo of him shaking hands and a little tap on the back. It's Test cricket. You know, Sam didn't take it to heart.
This team now sits on the verge of one of its most sought-after victories. It's been 10 years since Australia held the Border Gavaskar Trophy. They could have it back in just a few days' time.
Reward for 24 months of really solid cricket. Start of the series, we wanted to win the series, and we got an opportunity to do that.
An early warm-up for the Aussie captain, Pat Cummins, joining a park cricket match on New Year's Eve. In form ahead of the final test. Sam Jordan, 9 News.
Well, the Strikers' finals hopes have taken another big hit, crushed by the Scorchers in a fiery clash at Adelaide Oval. Chasing the Strikers' modest total of 142, opener Finn Allen belted Jamie Overton for 18 off his first over, which resulted in a heated exchange. But the fireworks didn't end there, Overton threatening to man-cat Allen in his next over.
Jamie Overton. Cheeky. He's not appealing, but he's getting stuck in.
Yeah, a little fiery. The Scorchers chased down the target with 33 balls to spare. Adelaide's 4th loss from 5 games leave them sitting second bottom on the Big Bash table. Well, the double act of Nick Kyrgios and Novak Djokovic has come to an early end, knocked out in the second round of the Brisbane International. The pair was blown away in the first set before returning fire in the second, although it wasn't enough.
Nick and Novak had fans salivating when they announced they would play doubles, and it was clear to see why. Today, however, they were presented a real challenge, coming up against the number 1 seed duo in Nikola Mektic and Kiwi Michael Venus. The latter pair breezed through the first set to win 6-2. Kyrgios and Djokovic were quick to respond in the second. It set up a tight 10-point tiebreak to decide the game, Nick helping claim an early break.
Brilliant.
But it wasn't meant to be for these newly found friends, going down 10-8. In the women's, Aussie Kimberly Burrell had arguably the greatest win of her career.
What a way to start a calendar year.
The world number 113 took down the 8th-ranked women's player in Emma Navarro, all in front of her home crowd.
It's not very often that my players' box is completely full, so yeah, I'm so happy, and thank you so much to everyone for supporting me.
Burrell will now play Anastasia Portapova in the round of 16, And in the men's, Aussie Alex Vukic fell to Grigor Dimitrov in straight sets. Trent Neese, 9 News.
Meanwhile, in Sydney, Team Australia has begun its United Cup clash with Great Britain, but Alex de Minaur won't be taking on fiancée Katie Bolter in the mixed doubles. Instead, he'll just be playing the singles later tonight. Bolter took on Olivia Gadecki in the women's singles and she claimed the first set.
She started brilliantly and has finished in style. Bolter takes the first set by 6 games to 2.
And just minutes ago, Bolter sealed that match 6-2, 6-1. Well, a day after celebrating his 40th birthday, LeBron James showed he's still got all the right moves. The King becoming the first man to play in the NBA as a teenager and in their 40s, and he did it against Cleveland, the team he started his career with.
LBJ throws it down from Reeves. Give and go. Simple basketball.
He's a freak. LeBron had 23 points and 7 assists for the Lakers, but it was the league-leading Cavaliers that claimed a 12-point win in LA. And finally tonight, it's not often you see a professional ice hockey game played outdoors, but that's exactly what the Chicago Blackhawks and St Louis Blues have done in the NHL. The clash was played at iconic baseball venue Wrigley Field, and perhaps being out in the open air made things a little more frostier than usual between the two sides.
Foligno and Shen, the two captains, dropped the gloves. They took part of the ceremonial face-off with Kelios, Ronick and Savard. Not smiling for a photo this time.
Unfortunately, the home side couldn't deliver for the fans, with the Blues winning 6-2. Wouldn't be a hockey match without a bit of a punch on, would it?
It's like a KPI for those
I
players,
don't get it. But
You have to. It's the rules. All right, Corey, thank you. Well, a beautiful summer's day to welcome a new year. I'll have the up-to-date weather forecast next. First, a look at tomorrow's speed cameras.
Wake up and laugh with Adelaide's #1 breakfast show.
Rudits and Lows tomorrow on 104.7 Triple M.
For the latest Adelaide news and traffic.
To the weather now, and a cracking start to 2025, and there's more sunshine on the way. I'll have the 7-day forecast shortly. A top of 27 degrees today. That was around 1:40 this afternoon. The low was 14 at 6:30 this morning. Right now, 24 degrees. Across the suburbs today, Elizabeth 27, Mawson Lakes 28, cooler by the sea, 25 at Glenelg, the Hills made 23. Across the north of the state today, 39 for Coober Pedy, 26 for Ceduna, 23 at Port Lincoln. Warm across the Spencer Gulf, Port Augusta 31, 27 for Whyalla, 29 in the Clare Valley. Further south, 32 for Renmark, 30 in the Barossa, 27 at Keith. Cooler in the southeast, 25 at Naracoorte today, 21 at Mount Gambier. Now around the country tomorrow, 21 and partly cloudy in Melbourne, cloudy skies for Canberra, a shower or two and 24 in Sydney, 27 for Brisbane, and it's going to be warm in Perth again. Back home and across the north of our state tomorrow, very warm in Coober Pedy, 37. It's going to be cooler by the coast, 29 in Ceduna, 24 for Port Lincoln. Now temperatures will hover around 30 degrees in Port Pirie and Port Augusta, and a cool night in Clare, down to 10, then up to 30 tomorrow. Further south, and a top of 32 for Renmark, 29 for the Barossa, 27 for Murray Bridge, a little bit cooler across the Fleurieu and KI, 25 for Kingscote, 22 for Victor Harbour. Partly cloudy day across the southeast, 28 at Naracoorte, Mount Gambier 22. Strong wind warning has been issued for the upper southeast coast. Now on metro waters, southeasterly winds up to 20 knots, seas around 1.5 metres. A sunny day in the suburbs, Elizabeth 30, 28 for Outer Harbour and Marion, mostly sunny in the hills with 25. A warm day in the city tomorrow, up to 29, and then a low of 14 overnight. Looking at the week ahead, it's warming up for Friday, a top of 35 degrees. Even hotter on Saturday, 36 degrees there. The chance of showers on Sunday with 33, 26 for Monday, and a shower or two. Sunny for Tuesday and 30, and then 33 this time next week. And that is Adelaide's 9 News for this New Year's Day. I hope you've had a good one, and I hope you can join me again tomorrow night at 6. I'm McDonald. Have a great evening. Good night.